And that's really what we're going to talk about today, guys, is hard freaking work. Hard work got every single person here, but it's not going to get you to $1 million. Okay, let me not assume things. How many of you guys here would actually consider yourselves hard workers? You probably work harder than most people you know, right? And yet, why don't all of you guys have $1 million businesses? Guys, here is what took me 12 years to understand. Hard work is not the problem. What is the problem? Okay, what's the problem?
Embarrassment.
Yeah. And your daily effort to avoid it. Every time that you wait to raise prices, you avoid embarrassment. Every time you don't confront the cleaner who keeps calling out, you avoid embarrassment. Every time you tell yourself, I'll just invest when the time is right, you avoid embarrassment. At one point, 12 years ago, I would embarrass to tell you this right now, is that I could not break $5,000 a month in revenue, and that I made $0 in profit. And I did that for 3 years. 156 straight weeks. 36 months, I could not break $5,000. And so today, guys, I'm going to share with you exactly what kept me below $5,000 a month. But I'm also going to tell you what I eventually learned that helped me build a $1 million business. I grew up in a hardworking, very disciplined military family. I was actually born on an Air Force base in Ogden, Utah. My dad spent 29 years in the United States Air Force before he finally retired. And my mom actually served 4 years in the Air Force before she left to pursue her degree in dental hygiene, where she was a dental hygienist for over 20 years. Okay. I watched my parents work hard for a living. Very hard workers. And they encouraged me to work hard as well. In school, in sports, and as I got older, in jobs. And my mom, she used to say this to me all the time. In my first couple of jobs, and I was working manual labor, I was working really hard. She's like, Logan, you need to get a good education. That way you don't have to work hard for the rest of your life. And what I believe that my mom actually meant by that was like, use your brain rather than your body to make money. Now, I have so much respect for physical work as somebody who's done a lot of it in my life. And the reality is, though, is that it is impossible to grow a $1 million business by working physically hard. But hard work is necessary to build a business. It's just not physical work. It's emotional work.
It's embarrassing work.
Yeah. It's, are you willing to work through embarrassment? Speaking of embarrassment, on last week's call, the partnership test, I shared Katie and I's very first date. It was a little bit embarrassing. And as we were departing that night, though, Katie began actually opening up and asking me some questions. And one of the questions, do you remember asking this question, Katie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She asked me, what do you drive? Oh, I got excited too. I was like, oh, I drive a brand new Chevy pickup, black leather seats. It's chrome. It's beautiful. And then she asked me, what do you do for work? And same thing. I was like, oh, I own my own gym. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm no boss. I'm free. And I answered all these questions as a way to make me appear to be successful. which makes sense, right? But the reality was I was trapped in a monthly payment for a vehicle that was worth less than what I paid for it. And I was trapped in a business that I had no idea how to grow. But I would have never have told Katie that. Why? Katie, why would I have told you that?
You probably would have been embarrassed.
It would have been freaking embarrassing. And in my mind, it would have been the thing that would have stopped me from potentially getting the girl, was to tell her how bad I was. But what was interesting, because guys, Katie eventually figured it out. it didn't take long. What I thought was interesting was that once Katie actually figured it out, she didn't love me any less. In fact, it was the opposite. She actually wanted to help me more. Our connection became stronger after I became vulnerable. Now, the truth was that Katie at the time really didn't have any skills to be able to help me. So I was like, let me see if I can use this little vulnerability thing on some of the next closest people in my life, which at that time were actually my clients, my personal training clients. And so I told them the truth. My business was not successful. I did not know how to grow it. I need help. And one of my clients, his name was Cliff, he actually owned a business in California. And the dude mentored me for free. Almost every session, we would talk about business. And even outside of my sessions, him and his wife would help me do bookkeeping and talk about QuickBooks. And they would just help. They would just help. And the irony was that he was paying me and I was getting mentorship. Wow. And then one of my other clients, her name was Rory. She didn't have any business experience, but she had a lot of contacts. She had a lot of friends who were very smart. And one of her friends was a business mentor. And after she told him about me, he offered to work with me for free because he knew I didn't have any money. And it was interesting because this was like the first time in my life where I realized that humility had opened up the door for all these teachers to appear. And so every single person I learned something from. So much, and so grateful for all those people in my life. But eventually I realized I needed somebody who actually owned a gym to actually help me grow my gym. And so I eventually found the teacher who could actually help me break this $5,000 a month ceiling that I had been hitting for 3 years. And his name was Bedros. See, Bedros has started a franchise called Fit Body Bootcamp. Bedros was probably one of the most successful people in the fitness industry who was also doing some coaching. And so he also had a mastermind group called 7-Figure Fitness. And I was eyeing it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I kept telling myself I was going to do it. And just keep telling myself I was going to do it. And I just kept on giving myself a reason to keep pushing it off, keep pushing it off. And I was actually really close to pulling the trigger on joining his mastermind. I was like, I gave myself a deadline. I was going to do it in the next week or two. And I remember this day, I was working really hard, scrolling on Facebook, and I saw this ad. And it said, I will fill your gym in 30 days for free. Yeah. 3 days later, I forgot about Bedros. And I was giving the stranger Alex Hermosi $10,000 for his gym launch system. And 30 days later, I went from making $5,000 a month to $50,000 in the very first month of using the system. You guys, this was one of the biggest mistakes I made that kept me from $1 million business. I avoided the truth. I didn't have the skills, the experience, or the track record to build $1 million business. And despite my naive beliefs that I should just have all those things, they should just become natural, it wasn't true. Right? I realized that skills, experience, and track record are a result of work, emotional work. And skills, experience, and track record, they don't come from waiting to hire, because what if I can't fill schedules? Waiting to raise prices, because what if they say no? Waiting to confront my team, because what if they get upset and they leave and they file unemployment, or they leave me a bad review? Or waiting to invest in a mentor, because what if I lose money? What if I get scammed? But really, I wasn't waiting. Katie, what was I doing?
Avoiding.
I was choosing to experience the familiar pain of being broke than the possibility of embarrassment, even with the prize of becoming rich. That's embarrassing. Okay, last week I talked about the School of Hard Knocks interviews. Okay. And so last week, leading up to this call today, I saw an interview by this couple, a very attractive couple, by the way, that had built a soda company to $500 million in 5 years. Incredible.
Wild.
Incredible. And they had just sold it to Pepsi. Have you guys heard of Pepsi before? Yeah. It's the other Coke. It's the other Coke product.
This all started during COVID as well.
Yeah. They sold it for $2 billion with a B. And so I watched this interview, but I actually missed the most important line. The irony. But Katie didn't. And Katie sent it to me. And she dropped the little quote for me to make sure that I didn't miss it, because she's seen me enough to realize that this is what I do. I'm a skimmer. I will skim through things, and she knew I was going to miss this. And I did. Katie, will you actually drop that line in the chat? And then will you share with everybody what that line was that I almost missed if it wasn't for you?
It's so good. The line that she says, and it's at the very end of the recording. So if you guys watch it, like, you have to watch it till it's the very last thing that she says. And she says that embarrassment is the most underexplored emotion when it comes to success.
I have never heard that before. And I've listened to a lot of entrepreneurship podcasts. I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs talk, and I've never actually heard anyone say that. And I actually think it's the underlying tone of what this entire Road to a Million calls about: making mistakes, about facing challenges, about looking silly, about overcoming obstacles and challenges. It's actually, this is the best way to summarize it. It's like, you're going to be embarrassed. And instead of trying to avoid it, explore it. Get comfortable with it. And so, in the theme of the School of Hard Knocks channel, I'm going to give you guys my best advice to the younger generation. Tell the truth so your ego can lie down. When Katie and I started Wilson 5-Star Home Cleaning, we never dreamt we could build a $3 million cleaning business. Just like I'm sure that couple never believed they could build a $500 million business. But Katie, what was our goal when we started Wilson 5-Star Cleaning?
Yeah. My first goal with the business was a side hustle.
Yeah. Make a little bit of money, do as little work as possible. And so in year number 1, Wilson 5-Star Cleaning, it's in the way here, it generated $174,000 in revenue. How much profit, Katie?
47,000.
Yeah. You guys, that's an average of $15,000 a month. and about $4,000 a month in profit. And this was Katie running this entire business on her own. Like, I helped her get started in the sense of I put up the Facebook ads and I got the marketing funnel going. I sold for about 6 weeks and I said, okay, good enough. You go, you see what you got here. And Katie did a pretty good job of turning this little side hustle into a legit little business. And then in year 2, Katie grew this thing to $436,000 and almost $100,000 in profit. That was an average of $36,000 a month in revenue while profiting around $8,000 a month. It's a pretty good little side hustle. But it was in year number 3 that Katie and I made a big decision. Katie, what was that decision that we made in year number 3?
Yeah, stop doing side hustles and do one main hustle.
Yeah.
Go all in.
Yeah. And so we actually got out of the gym industry. We stopped buying real estate and we went all in on this cleaning business. We increased our time that we spent in this business. Actually, I asked Katie if I could actually come spend some time in this business, and she said, yeah. And so I started putting some time in this business, a lot more time into this business. And our number one goal was just to create success. Evidence. Okay. Evidence. What was the evidence that was created in 2023 in year number 3?
Yeah, we did 1.1 million in revenue and we profited 218,000.
Yeah, guys, that's an average of $91,000 a month in revenue and $18,000 a month in profit. The second biggest thing that kept me from building $1 million business for so long, I kept trying to plant seeds in January and harvest them in February.
That's actually a great analogy.
Like, you guys, nature doesn't skip seasons, and neither do $1 million businesses. And so the way that I looked at my journey was that year 1 was winter. Okay. It was the work that Kate and I were doing that nobody saw. You guys, all you guys see today is the harvest. You didn't see the planting of the seeds, but this is what happened. We planted the seeds, we built the foundation. We proved the concept by proving to look like idiots. But we survived year number 1. We survived the winter, which led us into year number 2, which we call the spring season, where things actually started to grow. We started to see, which allowed us to start to believe. And then year number 3, by golly, summer hit, and we got to harvest. But only because we didn't quit when it was cold. You guys, the process isn't the problems standing between you and $1 million business. The process is what is required. Speaking of farmers, there's a couple of my favorite farmers on this call today. Tyler and Keller are on here, and so is Lucas. And Lucas and his wife Jessica were one of the very first people who I got to share this $1 million system with. After we finally had evidence of it, Jessica and Lucas were like, hey, let's see if you guys can also have success with the system. And so when I met Jessica and Lucas, they had their home cleaning business for 10 years. And right before I met them, they had just invested in a coach. They had paid that coach $10,000 for the hope, for the intention, for the belief that their business would grow as a result of that investment. When they started coaching, their business was doing $20,000 a month. And when they finished coaching, their business was doing $13,000 a month. I don't think that's the kind of growth that they were looking for. But how many of you guys believe that a Jessica and Lucas would have stopped planting seeds that would have helped them get to harvest $1 million business? Absolutely not. And so neither should you. Because Jessica and Lucas didn't stop planting. They kept planting despite not getting the harvest they were looking for the first time. And today, Jessica and Lucas have been using this $1 million system for the last 3 years, and they do have a $1 million business. And that business harvested more profit in 2025 than the entire first 10 years of the business combined.
Mm.
I actually have
Way to
this.
go, guys.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing. Just love them so much. And it's funny because I actually have this on my screen. I don't know if you guys can see this. Oh, there's a way to put this on your Zoom screen. I'm not sure how to do it, but can you see that? Shoot fire. There's a way to
What
make
does it
this
say?
connection. You're right. Okay. I'll just say it out loud. I'll just use my words. This is what I have on my screen. This is something that I subconsciously see every single day when I look at my phone. It says, sometimes it takes 10 years to get that 1 year that will change your life. Don't give up. I actually think about Jessica and Lucas a lot when I see this. It took me 10 years to build my first $1 million business as well. So guys, there's a process to it though. Because it took me 10 years to build the first one, and we built the second one in less than 2. And we're going to build the third one in less time than that. Are you guys okay if I share with you guys the pain of what it took me to get to 10 years that I can share with you today in about 5 minutes on exactly what this process looks like? You guys cool with that?
They all say yes, please. Some with manners.
Some are demanding. Now, I actually see this process to get to $83,000 a month in 3 different stages. Okay. And actually, Katie, you actually helped me with this a lot too. And so the first stage is $0 to $40,000 a month. Katie, what is the main focus when you're below $40,000 a month?
Yeah, the skill that you are not great at and you are acquiring is increasing revenue.
This is the skill, guys. And if I were to summarize it, is get as far away from 0 as possible. That is the goal from 0 to 40K. Learn how to increase your revenue. Get as far away from 0 as possible. That's stage number 1. Stage number 2 is 40 to 83K a month. Okay. What do we focus on in this stage?
You still need to increase revenue because 40 to 83 is not going to happen on accident. So you have to continue to learn how to increase your revenue. And you also need to be creating systems and processes to teach others how they can come help you increase revenue.
Yeah. When Katie said this the first time, I was like, whoa, this is really good. This is really good. And yeah, like first skill, learn how to increase revenue. Second skill, learn the system and process how you increase revenue, so then you can teach somebody else how to increase the revenue. Because that's what's actually going to lead you into stage 3, which is $83,000 a month plus. And in this stage, Katie, what's the goal?
Coaching your team on how to continue to increase revenue.
It really is that simple, guys. Like that is the framework to get to $1 million. Took me 10 years to figure it out. I guess it's 12 years now, but that's the framework.
So if you audit yourself, wherever you currently are, wherever your revenue currently sits, there's 2 questions that you can ask yourself. If you're below 40K, you ask yourself at the end of every day, did my actions today align with increasing my revenue? And if they did not, change your actions the next day. And then if you are above 40 and between 40 and 83, the question that you ask yourself is, am I creating a process that I can teach somebody else? Does what I'm doing today get me closer to having somebody help me continue to increase revenue? Those are really the only 2 questions. So 0 to 40, are my actions aligned with increasing revenue? Am I focusing on having cleaners available to book cleans on, And am I booking cleans? And then 40 to 83, if you're between 40 and 83, it's, is what I'm doing today going to help me tomorrow teach somebody of what I'm doing today?
The advice is great. I'll just say this. That advice is good. But what I want you guys to understand is that the frame it's coming from is great. Because the person that you heard it from has built $2 million businesses from zero. And that advice comes from not theory, not what I think sounds good, but what she actually has done and is still currently doing. Katie sat in the seat. She's done the thing. And she also has had the courage to get herself out of the seat so then she could understand what she did in order to actually produce results. And then she had the courage to share those things freely to everybody else. That advice is very rare, guys. There's very few people who have ever done it. And there's very few people who ever got themselves out of the seat, and then very few people who have the courage to then share it freely. It's amazing. Do you guys know why I love this freaking business? Do you know why I love the cleaning business? Does anyone know why?
Because you don't like dirty toilets?
I love the cleaning business because of reoccurring revenue. You make one sale and you can get paid forever. We still have clients that Katie and I both sold in Bozeman 5 years ago. They're still paying us today. Susan Bianchini is one of those, one of the very first clients still with us. Right? You guys, this is how you become rich. Speaking of rich, Mr. Alex Ramosi, who I paid $10,000 for gym launch, his reoccurring program was called Gym Legacy. And for Gym Legacy, when I joined, I put down $7,000 as a down payment, and then I paid $1,000 a month. And it was inside Gym Legacy where I began to learn more about business than just marketing and sales. I learned a process for hiring, onboarding, and training personal trainers, how much I should pay my trainers. And after going through this hiring module, it became very evident that I was paying one of my trainers a little bit too much. He was getting paid $30 an hour. And Alex recommended I pay him $20 an hour. And I was like, there's no way this guy's going to stay if I cut his pay by $10 an hour.
A third.
And Alex was like, it's okay. Because now you have a system to replace him. That didn't make me feel any better. Because this was not just any trainer. This was a friend of mine. This was my lifting partner. This was my roommate. And his name was Shannon. And you guys, this is the next biggest reason that kept me from building $1 million business for a very long time, for a decade. I did not want to have this conversation with Shannon. But the anticipation of having the conversation became worse than the possible worst case scenario of him leaving. And so I set up one-on-one with Shannon. And as I was giving him context on why we were having this conversation, I couldn't tell him I was going to cut his pay. So instead, I just gave him the choice to continue being a trainer at the gym for $20 an hour, or the choice to find another job where he could make $30 an hour. And whatever decision that he made, I would support him 100%. And I told him, take a day or two, you think about it, and you do what's best for you.
Wow, you took his perspective into consideration.
Yeah. And
What did Shannon decide?
What did Shannon decide? Yeah. What do you guys think he decided? Yeah. he realized no other gym was going to pay him $30 an hour. That was probably the first thing that he decided. And I think that he respected my courage to address the issue. And inevitably, he stayed. He stayed my friend, my lifting partner, and even my roommate until Katie and I finally moved in together a couple years later. And guys, that decision filter, it transformed my life forever. I realized the framework that made hard conversations easy. And it was
Maybe not easy. Maybe it's simple. They made hard conversations simpler.
It made it easy for me.
That's
because
true.
what it did is it gave the other person the choice to let them decide for themselves. And so then my job was just to support their decision either way, even if it was not in my best interest right away. Here's what it boils down to, guys. If you don't have $1 million business, it's probably not because of your physical effort. It's most likely the emotional effort to tackle these 3 problems. Problem number 1. What is it, Katie?
Ooh, you're paying the comfort tax.
You're selling yourself on waiting to market, waiting to hire, waiting to invest. But remember, guys, you're not waiting. You're just avoiding. And the cost to play that game? Staying comfortable and broke, rather than looking stupid and getting rich. And so I talked about this in the very beginning of the call. The only way you get value from these calls is to do what?
Change your behavior.
Yeah. So, good opportunity for you to change your behavior. Go do something this week that's going to embarrass the crap out of you. And get excited about it. In the words of a very successful entrepreneur who just sold a company for $2 billion, go explore it.
That's also where confidence is rooted, is through putting yourself out there and realizing, worst case scenario, somebody laughs at you. Who's laughing at you when you're rich?
Yeah. The first thing I think of when you say that, Katie, have you ever seen the movie 8 Mile?
Yeah, Eminem.
Yeah. And there's the last battle he does, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he flips the battle and he just starts telling this guy and the whole crowd all the problems that are wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
He steals all the problems that this guy was going to throw at him and try to bring him down. And he just says, here are my problems, brother.
Beat that.
And I think it is actually one of the most powerful things you can do in life. It's just tell people your problems. And if you actually go back and listen to the last 104, 105 episodes of this podcast, guys, like this is my rap battle right now, is I'm just trying to share with you guys all of my deficits, all of my problems, all my weaknesses. Put my insecurities out there because now there's nothing to hide. And from somebody who grew up very, very insecure, I can personally tell you the most freeing thing I've ever done in my life is just share all those insecurities.
Explore the embarrassment emotion.
Yeah. His name's Clarence, and Clarence's parents have a real nice marriage. Someone put that in the chat. It was so funny. Okay. Problem number 2. What's problem number 2, Kitty?
Skipping seasons.
You know, there always is a season of learning before earning. If you want high skills, if you want high profits, it only comes with high skills. You don't get paid like an expert if you're entry-level talent. It's going to take more than you currently believe. more reps, more sacrifice, more pain, more embarrassment than you could expect. And you can choose to believe that there is a shortcut, that there is another way. And you can try to skip the season of sucking. And you can continue to wonder why you don't have $1 million business. I think there's 4 or 5 people on this call right now who have $1 million businesses. Ask them how easy it was. Ask them the shortcut.
They'll tell you the truth.
They'll tell you the truth. And that's probably the reason why people don't ask. It's because you really don't want to know the truth. You want to believe that you can skip it. Or you just want to believe that it's not really you, it's your market. It's something that you don't have control over.
We were at church a couple weeks ago, and our pastor was telling us how to win, how to be successful. And he said, it doesn't matter what level of skill you have. What is the most important and how you continue to open doors to opportunities that you don't even see yet is to be great wherever you currently are. Be great at taking out the dang trash. Be the best trash taker outer you've ever seen, so you get the opportunity to one day be the truck driver who picks up the trash. And this is how you acquire those high skills, is you just commit to being great at every level. You be the best cleaner. You be the best office staff. You be the best salesperson. You be the best at getting embarrassed.
And you see those things as opportunities. And so a lot of times people see work and they see reps and they see time and they see sacrifice as a hindrance. And it's an opportunity. And if you see it as an opportunity, then those things become meaningful. If you see it as a hindrance, you'll avoid it. Last Monday was Katie and I's 12-year meet anniversary. The day afterwards, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, was our daughter's 7th birthday. And you know what she really wanted for her birthday?
No one's going to guess this.
I'll guess the first thing that she wanted. What was the first thing that she wanted that you got her?
A bike.
She got a cool bike. She got a cool bike. But the
second thing that she asked for, she didn't even tell us. She told her teacher, and her teacher told us at our parent-teacher conferences.
What was it, Katie?
She said she wanted more responsibilities.
Yeah. She's been brainwashed, first off, to believe that like work is an opportunity. The things that she gets to do for the family is an opportunity that she has to earn. And when she takes the trash out from the bag to the garbage bin, and then she takes the garbage bin out to the road for the garbage man to take it and then brings it back in, like she sees that as an opportunity for her to then get another responsibility. And if you guys can see that you guys have an opportunity to go from being a cleaner to then going to the office and then to selling clients and to hiring cleaners, if you guys can see those as your opportunities to then get more responsibility, you will win. You will win this game. Because the people who find enjoyment in the work are the ones who don't even realize that they're working.
You gotta say that again.
You have to catch the replay. That one just came off. But when you can just play all day and everyone's working all day, the one who plays all day is going to win. Problem number 3. Okay. It's problem number 3 that holds people back from $1 million business.
Problem number 3 is silence is expensive.
That silence is you avoiding. It's you avoiding the conversation with the client who canceled last minute, the conversation with the cleaner who can't show up on time, or at all. Like, you already know what to do, but you believe it might just fix itself. Because growing up, mom and daddy fix everything for you. See, they didn't want you to feel the pain in that moment. and they thought they were protecting you. But unbeknownst to them, they're hurting you today. Because every time you have a problem, you wait. You wait for someone like mommy and daddy to come fix it for you. No one's coming to save you. No one will fix it for you. Stop avoiding. Because avoidance creates anger. Start conversations. Because conversations create connection. All three of these problems can be summarized as avoidance problems. Avoiding the truth, avoiding the process, and avoiding conversations. That is what will keep you under $1 million. Also, there's a special tax, guys, for businesses under $83,000 a month. Have you guys ever heard of this tax before? It's not from the government. It's from you. It's called the ignorance tax. And you pay it every single month. Right now, if you're making $20,000 a month, you're paying $760,000 a year to not have $1 million business. It's a big tax. And you working physically harder is not going to make it go away. Time is not going to stop it. The only thing that stops this tax from happening is you confronting what you've been avoiding. And so ask yourself, how much ignorance tax have you already paid? And how much more are you willing to lose? You guys, we just spent the last hour explaining the gap between where you're at and the $1 million business, and it has nothing to do with working hard physically. It's an avoidance problem. And so the question to ask yourself is, are you actually ready to change your behavior? Are you going to go back to your business and just continue to keep waiting, just delaying, and it will fix itself? The season will change. The days will change. The weather will change. Those are quite literally your only two options. And so if you're actually ready to make a move, Kate and I have been offering a free game plan call. Now, this call is not a consultation. It's not a sales pitch. It's an honest look at your business and where you are and where you want to go, and exactly what it's going to take for you to get there. Last year in 2025, we had 8 businesses inside the mentorship cross that $1 million mark using the system. So this has gone beyond just Kate and I being able to grow $1 million businesses. Now we have other people using the same system who are growing $1 million businesses. A lot of them are on this call today. I can tell you what, none of those people were smarter than you, more talented than you, but what they did have that you don't have, maybe, we'll see, courage. The courage to commit before they were ready. And so these free game plan calls are not for everyone. Okay? It's not for people who want to grow slow. It's not for people who don't take accountability for their situation. It's not for people who want to do it alone. Okay? And so if that's you, that's totally fine, by the way, to be that way. It really is. It's just like, this call is not for you. Okay. But if you're a home cleaning business owner who actually wants $1 million business and you're willing to do the emotional work to get there, the only thing between you and a milli is how much embarrassment you're willing to feel. And if that's you, then James will drop the link down below and you can book your free game plan call. And if you have the vulnerability to open up and share what you want and have the humility to realize why you're not there and to confront the process that it's going to take in order for you to get there, it's real, guys. It's real. I said earlier that the reason I love the cleaning business is because of the recurring revenue. But the second reason I love this business is because I really do believe that it is one of the best business opportunities that you can currently do in the landscape of the world right now. It costs very little money to get into this business. There's no special licensing required. You don't have to have a license, or you don't have to have, there's no gatekeepers in order for you to say, I want to start a home cleaning business. For a couple $1,000s, honestly, for just the price of a vacuum and some cleaning supplies, you can go out there and start cleaning yourself and call yourself a business owner. The cost to get into the business is very low monetarily. All the cost is in your emotional capacity. It's in your willing to face embarrassment, to realize that you do not have the skills of cleaning. You don't have the skills of selling. You don't have the skills of hiring. You don't have the skills of leading. But if you're willing to pay that cost, to pay that ignorance tax down, you can quite literally invest a couple $100s to start this business, and this thing can print $18,000 a month in profit. And you can do it within a couple years. And so if you're already in this business, you got a head start, my friends. Congratulations. And there's people who have been in this business less time than you, who might have bigger businesses than you, because they're paying their tax down quicker. So this has nothing to do with how long you've been in business for. Just like, how fast are you willing to pay that ignorance tax down? And aside from the money profit that comes with a $1 million business, there is time profit that comes with it as well. Not only do you make money, but this system, it shows you how to then, like Katie said earlier, how to build system processes to replace yourself at each role. So that way the business can actually grow without you being the one who has to actually physically grow it. But just because there's not physical effort doesn't mean that there's not emotional effort. And that emotional effort, that's what you get paid for. That's the work you get paid for. Yeah. And then one more thing to go with it. Money profit, time profit, all great. But I really believe the most valuable thing that this business will teach you, and it will give you, is it will give you skills. You will become a better communicator. Katie said this earlier when I had the conversation with Shannon. It'll make you think about others, not just about yourself. So instead of being a selfish person, it'll make you a serving person. You will inspire the people around you, not because of what you said, but of what you have done. And when the people who mean the most to you ask you for help, you have the time freedom to be able to give them focus. You have the money resources to actually be able to invest in them. But the most important thing you have is you have a track record. You have proof, you have evidence of what success looks like. And so that's why going all in on building a business that does $80,000 a month is one of the most important things I've ever done. And every single person I've talked to who's done it wouldn't regret a single thing. And so if you haven't done it yet, make it happen. You'll never regret it. And there's so many things that your life will be so much different and so much better in ways that you will never have imagined. It'll unlock a whole new world for you. So appreciate you guys for being on here today. Kitty, so appreciate you for going first, showing the path. Like you're truly you're the trailblazer for this Road to $1 Million podcast, for the mentorship, for our clean businesses, and I just have so much respect for you. So
Appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much. If you guys are inside the mentorship, we'll see you guys tomorrow and on Wednesday. And if you guys are not inside the mentorship, appreciate you getting on these calls. And yeah, we'll see you guys all again.
I have a request. Hold on, before you say the final farewell, I have a request for those of you guys that are inside the mentorship. It's really easy to get paralyzed by some of these calls and be like, holy shit, I have so much to work on. So something that I would highly encourage those of us that do get paralyzed and are afraid to change action is we can change our behavior tomorrow. We can change our behavior right after this call, but I want you guys to stop and look for a second, reflect last week or even earlier today. When is the last time that you did something that you put yourself out there and you potentially embarrassed yourself? And I want you guys to post that inside the school community for public accountability and for us to also support each other in a sense that it's really not as bad as we perceive it to be. After the anticipation of the conversations that we have to have are usually worse than the actual embarrassment of the real conversation. So reflect back, look at what you've done earlier today, this weekend, last week, and see if there's something that you can post inside of the community and share with everybody.
Awesome.
Start creating your own story.
Appreciate you guys.